The year is 1821. People in this region are happy. Why? They just kicked out the Spanish crown and they just declared independence. There's one problem though. Who's in charge now that the Spanish are gone? I should be in charge, everyone said at the exact same time. Rule of the first Mexican Empire ended up going to this guy, Agustín de Iturbide, but he doesn't matter too much to this story. He ended up getting overthrown 2 years later anyway. This chaos, rebellion, and even a re-invasion by Spain opened Mexico to a lot of vulnerability. This infighting went on until Mexico became the second Mexican Republic for the beginning of the war. Enter the United States, a growing nation looking to expand. They had acquired territory from the French in the Louisiana Purchase, going from looking like this to looking like this. Then they got some territory from Britain to look like this. The United States was looking for more land to conquer, and they were just in time for one event. Texas seceding from the United Mexican States. Texas, like many of the Mexican states, was unhappy with its government. It was made up of lots of different types of people. Some spoke Spanish, some English, and some spoke native languages. Many American settlers accidentally ended up in Texas and just decided to stay. Because of all this, the Texans decided to declare their independence and fight for it. Mexico, however, didn't recognize its independence, and this caused a huge border dispute between Mexico and the new Texan Republic. It claimed lands all the way to the Rio Grande, but only effectively controlled lands on the eastern half. The United States, expansionist as it was, didn't want to add Texas as a state, mostly because of a little conflict about whether or not it would allow slavery. The addition would upset the balance between slave states and free states. This conflict definitely wouldn't cause a war or anything like 20 years later. Anyway, this all changed with the election of James Polk. He was a huge supporter of Manifest Destiny, the idea that the United States was destined by God to expand and spread capitalism and democracy to the entire North American continent. Polk didn't just want Texas to become a state, he thought the United States should take a lot of what was northern Mexico. So now that you're president, how will we expand the country like you said? Does anyone have an idea? Well, we could take Canada. Enough with up there, Frank. I'll get the Oregon situation figured out soon. Remember, don't mess with the British. Do you want another 1812? Let's stick to the Southwest for now. We could just invade Mexico. We can take them. Are you serious? The people will hate you if you do that. Wasting our precious American lives for some desert out west. Hey, it's not just some desert. There's a whole ocean over there, you know. We already have access to it from Oregon. Do we? What about the Brits? Guys. I've got it. I have a plan to get us in conflict with Mexico. First, I'll annex Texas and absorb them into the Union. Because Mexico still doesn't recognize Texan independence, this will upset them. Second, I'll put troops everywhere that the former Texan Republic claimed. Even where the Texans couldn't control or had no jurisdiction in, like near the, Rio Grande. Sir, it's pronounced Rio Grande. Anyway, the Mexicans won't like troops deep into what they think is their territory. They'll attack our poor, defenseless American souls, and the newspapers can go to town on that. Then we'll have no choice but to go to war with them. Also, I hear things are tough in Alta California. Let's offer to help them gain independence from Mexico. Now, it's still up to debate whether that was what actually happened. It probably didn't go exactly like that, but many people say it was similar. Some of these include Abraham Lincoln, a prominent senator at the time, who said the war was unnecessarily and unconstitutionally commenced. And Ulysses S. Grant, who was sent to Mexico and who said he regards the war which resulted from Polk's aggression as one of the most unjust ever waged by a stronger against a weaker nation. So then, Polk's plan went into action. First, Texas was admitted to the Union as the 28th state. Then, General Zachary Taylor was sent to the disputed territory at the Rio Grande with 3,500 American soldiers to protect the territory. Unsurprisingly, the Mexicans found and shot at them, a 70-man patrol who they captured 52 of and killed 11. Speaking of Mexico, let's check on them. Whoa, are you guys okay? Still a lot of chaos and rebellion. Got it. Well, at least you guys got Fort Texas. Oh wait, here comes General Zachary Taylor with 2,500 men. Better go intercept them. General Mariano Arista intercepted the Americans at the Battle of Palo Alto, but Taylor's men successfully repelled them. Their next confrontation was the Battle of Resaca de la Palma. Like most battles in this war, the Americans won and forced the Mexicans to retreat, all the way to the Rio Grande. Polk could now claim the US needed to declare war, as the Mexicans had shed American blood on American soil. Congress shortly approved the declaration, but Mexico never declared war. Even now, they call it Intervención Estadounidense en México, or United States Intervention in Mexico. Now that the US was at war with Mexico, they could invade its territory. General Stephen Kearny walked into the disputed Santa Fe and just took it. There was no resistance. When he entered, he declared himself military governor, and then pushed on to Southern California. Even before the US declared war, John Fremont was ordered to go to California with his men. He was on his way to survey the newly acquired Oregon Territory, but instead, he was called to help fight the Mexicans in case war broke out. Naval Commodore John Sloat was also ordered to California. Right before they landed, Sloat transferred command to Robert Stockton, who made landfall in Los Angeles. By this point, Kearny had arrived in California too. Mexican General Andrés Pico was also there, and he engaged Kearny at the Battle of San Pascual. Pico had Kearny pinned to a hill until American reinforcements came to help. This made General Pico retreat to southern Mexico and gave Kearny the opportunity to finally meet up with Fremont and Stockton. The armies, led by Stockton, encountered the Mexican General José María Flores. Again, the US forced the Mexican army to retreat south. This marked the end of fighting in California, as it was placed firmly in US hands. Now is as good a time as ever to introduce the Mexican leader, Antonio López de Santa Anna. Santa Anna was the self-proclaimed Napoleon of the West, and he wanted to prove it by taking Mexico to the top. Of course, he was nowhere near as good as the real Bonaparte, and their stories vary greatly, so I don't know why he called himself that. While Napoleon had kept similar political views his whole life, Santa Anna's political allegiances varied widely, except in the fact that they benefited him. Señor, Mexico is at war with the Estados Unidos. Finally, I can come out of my exile and return to glory. Send a message to Valentin saying I want to run with him for president again to help save Texas and California. Also, send a message to the Americanos that if they send me to Mexico, I'll sell them all the territory they want, for a reasonable price. Will you, senor, sell out your own country like that? No, I'm gonna betray the Americans. I can't get power in that country. Have you learned nothing from me? So Santa Anna did just that. He sailed past the US naval blockade to Mexico City. And can we get a zoom in? Thanks, that's better. Anyway, from there, he sent an army under General Pedro de Ampudia to Texas to fight. At this point, General Zachary Taylor had already won 2 battles on the Texan side of the Rio Grande. Taylor plunged deep into Mexican territory to further his gains. There, he met General Ampudia, who he fought at the Battle of Monterrey. Taylor allowed the Mexicans to retreat, and he occupied the city. Then, several months later, Santa Anna personally led an army to face off against Taylor. They met at the Battle of Buena Vista, a key battle in the war. The two armies knew it, and both Taylor's and Santa Anna's men fought ferociously. Hey, there's a rebellion in Mexico City. Historians mostly agree that if Santa Anna wouldn't have had to leave to fight off a rebellion in Mexico City, he would have beaten Taylor. However, when the Mexican army left, General Taylor declared victory and occupied the area. Now, the United States knew it needed to end the war. It was supposed to be a nice, easy war to fulfill Polk's campaign promise of westward expansion. It had dragged on for almost 2 years, so General Winfield Scott was sent to end the war by taking Mexico City, the Mexican capital. He set sail for the nearby city of Veracruz and quickly took it. An army was sent to stop his invasion, but it was repelled by Scott. Scott moved toward Mexico City, but Santa Anna caught him right outside of Veracruz. The Battle of Cerro Gordo was hard fought on both sides, but General Scott was able to outflank Santa Anna, resulting in a Mexican loss. Hey look, there's a log stuck in this boot. Whoa, this isn't a log, it's a leg. No way. Whose do you think it is? I don't know. Hold on, isn't this Santa Anna's tent? Wait a minute. I remember hearing he got his leg shot off one time by a cannon. He had a funeral and everything. What? For the leg. Huh. Interesting. Do you know what this means? We found General Santa Anna's leg. After taking the opposing general's prosthetic, the US Army plunged deeper into the Mexican heartland. Outside of Mexico City, a series of battles were fought. Then, the US Army occupied Mexico City, and that was it. All Mexican officials evacuated and left orders that no one could surrender. This presented the US some issues, but they finally got someone to surrender. Now, they just had to decide the terms. Okay, so we won the war. Great job, everyone. Now we just have to decide what all we get from this whole thing. Any ideas? We could annex the entire country. They barely had a government to begin with, and the Mexicans need stability. Yeah, let's just double our size and take in tons of Spanish-speaking Catholics. That'll work out well. Yeah, gross, am I right? What? We should just take Texas and expand the border a little. Start at the top and go west. How will we even justify this whole war if we get pretty much nothing? I think I speak for most Americans when I say this. We'll take Yucatan, a good naval location, and a little more territory further down in Mexico so we can get some money from taxes and boost our economy. I'm with him, that's a good plan. Mr. Trist, could you propose that deal to Mexico? Whoa, whoa, whoa. How can we do this? The US can't be Republic of the People, Land of the Free, and just invade Mexico like that. We should only go this far down and not worry about Yucatan. You know what? You're fired. Really? Are you really going to do that? Well, you're all a bunch of selfish, corrupt. Like I was saying, we can take this much of their territory. Meeting adjourned. And so, on the behalf of the United States, I present this treaty. You will give up this amount of territory, and we will pay you 15 million United States dollars for it. Okay, this is a very kind offer. Thank you. And so it was, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed. Congress passed it without complaint, as they just wanted to see the war end. The war changed Mexican and American history forever. It cut Mexico in half while giving the US a huge increase in territory. Now I know what you're thinking, but wait, that's not what the border looks like. It looks like this. And you would be right. Good for you. The US gained that remaining territory in the Gadsden Purchase for the cheap price of $10 million to build a choo-choo train across America and avoid mountains. But they never ended up doing that. And so it ends. America successfully manifested its destiny on Mexico and could continue to manifest it across the continent.